Eventually, if a bunch of publishers have their content and subsequently their advertising blocked, those publishers with kind of a shorter term view related to revenue generation or monetization will turn around and charge folks like myself and the 150 clients or so more money for the same advertising real estate. So in that particular example, this challenge is really near and dear to companies like ours because, of course, we don't have a clean line of sight into how much ad blocking is occurring on a publisher-to-publisher basis. We only can kind of deal with the resulting lack of supply and increased media costs associated with that lack of supply. That's not favorable for anyone, just in that detail, because that doesn't actually improve the situation, and certainly that distances marketers from their overall goal of getting in front of the right person and driving performance. So it's a real issue. Now to quantify it a bit, and we were just up on a panel talking about this, there's about 200 million global ad blockers or ad blocking users. 45 million of those are here locally, domestic to the US. That's up about 50% year over year, which is why the conversation has started to bubble up. A significant percentage of those ad blockers are millennials, kind of a younger audience segment, high value audience segment for most marketers. And today, I think we're right at that breaking point where growth and adoption of digital media is still outpacing ad blocking usage a little bit. But the second that kind of relationship changes, ad blocking outpaces growth of media consumption, you're going to run into a bunch of publishers that have challenges monetizing their site, which means less media opportunity for advertisers, less media opportunities for media agencies, including ourselves, and that's just a profound impact in our specific industry, publishers going out of business, things like that. So that's a piece of it. The motivation for things like ad blocking, really straightforward, right? Like you're a consumer of media, I am too. Your general preference is to have media provided to you in a fast, flexible manner, on demand. So we say within the digital space, anything that intrudes on that type of experience seems to sacrifice the consumer experience and results in folks kind of looking for a new, different, better way to engage content. So we kind of did this to ourselves as an industry, meaning we know what people want. We know that people want access to content. We've tried to introduce obstructive advertising, things like data, tagging, all of the sophisticated manners in which we identify who those people are and whether or not they're high value, and consumers have basically said, if there's a different way, if there's a more effective way, if there's a faster way, one that's more aligned with my interests, I'm gonna head down that path, and hence ad blocking has become a real challenge. The IAB has provided guidelines that advertisers can rally around, publishers as well. I'm sure you've heard of them, or at least you've talked about them briefly on your property. Lean and Deal. Lean being more of the advertising perspective, hey, lightweight encrypted ads, non-intrusive, just kind of guidelines around how to get in front of consumers to start to minimize some of the noise. And then Deal being more of a publisher philosophy around making sure that you're detecting blocking, you're having a dialogue with consumers about the potential outcome if folks were to continue to try to go to your property and not see any advertising. And of course, properties suffer from a lack of the ability to create content if they can't monetize that content. So there's surfacing of the value exchange with the consumer. Those two things are in place right now, driven by the IAB. Organizations like ours on the media side, and certainly organizations on the creative side, are trying to take those best practices out to their clients and say, hey, we have to shift our creative philosophy a little bit. Not only are we not driving optimal performance, but we could be deterring future audience opportunity. Let's get behind some of this stuff. Let's change the way that we message. On the publisher side specifically, it's going to require kind of a publisher by publisher approach, which is one of the big one of the big challenges. So a Forbes, a Washington Post, a CNN, all of these publishers individually have to work on detection, and of course that's going to take a little while to come to fruition. But those are the solutions that are out there today. Kind of a publisher-facing solution and an advertising-facing solution, and certainly we're doing as much as possible to inform our clients of the best way to message a desired audience.
I assume consumers would accept some ads, but it seems like some publishers might be kind of going a little overboard. Or
yeah,
I mean, what are your thoughts?
It's a bit of a vicious circle in that regard, right? You're eager to create revenue. You're eager to create more content. So sometimes you gravitate toward some of these ad units, at least that aren't viewed as being optimal from a consumer lens. That's a short-term kind of a short-term strategy, of course. The result of that is lower performance and then also ad blocking. So yes, I think we kind of are the victims of our own industry challenge. I think part of this awareness effort again is getting publishers to take a longer view. Do I anticipate that advertisers are going to have to pay a little bit more for a new way to get in front of consumers? Yeah, right, because the math doesn't seem to work, right? So we first address some of this monetization challenge by creating more ad opportunities. If there's a consumer backlash and we need to create less, that the value of those ads are going to increase.